What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan Knostman here with Mom's Basement MMA, and we are trying something a little new here. So, I just joined the channel here pretty recently, but I am a huge regional MMA head. I watch any and every MMA event I can get my hands on, and I think that in the MMA media industry, there is just not enough coverage of a lot of these smaller, more or less covered events. So what I want to do here is every week, normally on Sundays, but Super Bowl was yesterday, got a little behind on stuff and I didn't end up recording. But every Sunday, I'm going to be recording my regional roundup, releasing it on the channel, just covering all the MMA you probably haven't heard of and previewing some of the stuff for the next week so that you do know and you can watch it because there are so many more good fights than just the UFC on every week. And frankly, it's sucks that a lot of people are missing out on it. But anyways, let's go back to this previous week. We are going weekend of the 10th and 11th. But anyways, yeah, we started on Thursday actually up in Canada, Vancouver, Canada, with Battlefield Fight League 79. So this is an event or a promotion I've covered, or not covered, but watched a few times now, and they're pretty decent. They're mid to upper level regional MMA. The interesting thing about them is they basically preset fight bonuses for each fight based on the method of finish or the time in which it takes to finish the fight. So they're like, for example, the other night they would announce as the guy was walking into the ring, so-and-so, his bonus is $1,000 if he lands a Peruvian necktie and $500 if he finishes the fight in under 45 seconds, which is interesting because obviously there aren't many bonuses at the regional level that offer fighters to kind of chase something a little bit outside of just a win. But at the same time, none of these bonuses were hit because they were extremely outlandish, like heel hook in the second round or, Superman punch knockout. So, interesting concept, but more for optics than actual, practicality, in my opinion. But early on the card, we had Nick Oulet, or Oulet, depending on if you're Canadian or not. He had a very impressive guillotine choke. He moved to 3-2 as a professional. He's a former amateur champion for Battlefield Fight League, so kind of one of their homegrown guys, and he showed some really impressive grappling, good takedowns, locked in a very slick guillotine choke, and won in the second round. The second matchup that I wanted to highlight from this card was Jericho Platone knocking out who did he knock out? Anyways, point is he entered the fight, and his bonus was if he wins the fight in under, I think, a minute, he would get a title shot at flyweight, which is kind of crazy. I'd never heard of something like that before. He just missed the bonus, but he still finished the guy in just brutal fashion. I mean, cut him open with an overhand in the first round and just poured it on the ground, ended up getting the finish, and he'll probably get the title shot anyways. But Jericho Platone, Canadian, Filipino, I believe, so a guy to keep an eye on up there. One of the ones I was most excited about was Caleb Montezuma fought Canadian Gassan Gill. And Caleb Montezuma is interesting because he comes from Lobo Gym in Mexico, which, for those who know, is Alexa Grasso's gym. Diego Lopez is the jiu-jitsu coach and fights out of there. And he was actually in his corner for this fight. So as soon as you see a guy walking out with Diego Lopez with that kind of hair, you got to know he's going to do something special. So he came out, they were kind of touting him as, grappler, obviously, because of the Lobo Gym, but he put together a tremendous 3-punch combo. I believe he went 2, 3, 2, but missed the 2 because he already knocked the guy out on the hook. So gorgeous combo, really impressive composure in the first round. He was kind of getting walked down at first, and then he just came back and clocked the guy. So Caleb Montezuma, 11-4 as a pro now, so he's kind of one of those names you should start looking for at the next level because he's got a good gym, good training partners, and pretty good power in those hands as well. I was looking forward to this fight probably the most in this card, which is Scotty Stockman versus Rodrigo Cenzinato. Scotty Stockman, actually former Southern Oregon Raider, such as myself. He wrestled there and still trains out of Medford, Oregon. And he's got a really good record, 10-2 as a pro. But if you go down the list of the guys he's fought, you see records like 15-58 or 26-38. Like really rough records of guys who are just journeymen at the true regional level that are just kind of fighting for a paycheck. and that's good. He's finished all of them. He has done his job, but the problem is when you step up to that higher competition, it doesn't go as easily as spinning back fists 20 seconds into the first round. And he fought a very, very good grappler, Rodrigo Senzinado. He is Brazilian, 5-1 coming into this fight, and Scotty came out just throwing bombs like he expected to finish him instantly, and threw himself wildly out of position. Ended up getting backpacked, standing back take in the first round. Was getting, I wouldn't even call it ground and pound because he was standing, but Cincinnati was on his back, hitting him in the face from the back, and it was extremely effective. And he ended up giving up a rear naked choke and lost in the first round. So, and this was also for the inaugural 165-pound super lightweight title for BFL, which is interesting because I always have believed there should be a weight class in between lightweight and welterweight. 155 to 170 is a big jump, and I think we could do something for the Rafael dos Anjoses of the world, if you know what I'm saying. Excuse me. But yeah, back to Stockman. I think he's got a lot of natural talent, wrestling background, really good power in the hands. He's just got to, I think get some good experience in the regional level against some good opponents, and come back. Although Battlefield Fight League did already say he's coming back May 9th, so that's going to be exciting to see how he improves from here to then, because I like him and I hope he gets a dub that next time out. So moving on to Friday, February 9th. This was a loaded night for regional MMA. I'm going to start off with probably the biggest event. It was LFA 176 in Phoenix, Arizona, my hometown. And early on the card, my teammate, actually, Grace DeFrancesco, who we interviewed on this channel not too long ago, go check it out. Great interview. She took on Eileen David. And this was without a doubt a fight of the year contender already, and one of the best fights I've ever watched myself. Like, no hyperbole. It was back and forth. DeFrancesco probably lost the first round. Eileen David did really good work mixing up her strikes between knees, kicks, punches, good clinch work. And then in the second round, things started to heat up when Grace dropped Eileen David early on with an overhand. Just started pouring it on. Eileen David, weathered the storm, got to her feet, got back to range, and then late in the round hit DeFrancesco with a knee to the head and dropped her, and then almost finished the fight. Grace held on through into the second round. This one was tough to score because obviously there was a knockdown late, but I truly believe that Grace did enough through the first 3.5 minutes between the knockdown early and then the work after that knockdown to clearly win the round despite, some adversity late. But in the third round, it was pretty back and forth, really good striking battle. And then Grace drops her again with an overhand and sends her to the canvas. About 15 seconds left, starts pounding on ground and pound. If there's 5 more seconds in this fight, it would have been a finish, no doubt in my mind. But goes to the judges' scorecards, split decision in favor of Eileen David. Once again, amazing performance from both women. I don't want to take anything away from her, but between the 2 knockdowns and the other work done, I believe Grace won this fight. Regardless, go watch on YouTube. LFA is touting it as one of the best fights they've ever had. I can certainly attest to that. It's Luke Riley, Alexander Loof type vibes, if the regional heads know what I'm talking about with that one. But yeah, tremendous fight. Chance EK, really, really good regional prospect from around here in Arizona. He was undefeated as an amateur. He won the Rise of the Prospects welterweight amateur title and is now 2-0 as a pro after he won via TKO in the card on Friday. Good performance. He's a really, really well-rounded fighter training at the MMA lab with a lot of other good guys up there. So keep an eye out for Chance EK. There was a true, just nasty KO by Mansour Abdul Malik. Ground and pound KO. Put the guy down and then just hit him with 4 or 5 more shots on the ground. And it was tough to watch, but great performance. He is somebody to watch. Middleweight, I believe. Good power, good frame. See what he does next. One of LFA's more exciting prospects, On Ho, took on Miguel Sanson, also interviewed by us. Check that out. Just published a couple weeks ago. Really, really technical, scrappy grappling fight. Miguel Sanson's takedowns looked tremendous. He was transitioning well. On Ho was just relentless with submission attempts. He would get up, he'd start throwing kicks. He'd, get back to range, do his flashy stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, he does a lot that's like very flashy, but it works. And his inverted triangles, his takedown defense, it's really interesting to watch. And he moved to 6-0. Miguel Sanson, props to him. He had a hell of a fight. He'll be back. Clearly a high level fighter at just 4-2 as a pro. And on Ho, I mean, he's got to be looking probably contender series next, maybe LFA flyweight title. I mean, there's a lot ahead of him. So just 23 years old, he's one of the brighter flyweight prospects we have here in the United States. In the main event, Elijah John won the featherweight belt. I don't have a ton to say about this fight. He took on Alfred Walker, who took the fight on 2 weeks' notice after Javier Garcia, excuse me. Javier Garcia took a spot on the Ultimate Fighter. So he'll be representing the featherweight class on this coming season, which is exciting news for him. But, Alfred Walker, he, shot a lot of takedowns, did what he could, but resulted in a unanimous decision for Elijah Johns in his 15th fight in the LFA, younger brother of Miles Johns in the UFC. And yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this fight, but anyways, the other big event that happened on Friday night was CFFC129, Cage Fury FC. Full disclosure, I don't really want to give the promotion too much shine, considering they are DMCAing many journalists who are covering their events and are basically taking down accounts for posting videos of their content, which is not good for your overall promotion. But I'd like to focus on the fighters here. Fatima Klein won her second belt for the promotion. She is, I mean, there's no doubt she's coming to the UFC next. She's probably the best female prospect regionally in the United States. Her hands have gotten so much better. Her striking looks extremely developed. Her footwork is tremendous. She moves in and out. She creates angles. She repositions well. She punches in combos. I mean, everything you want from a young striker. And training with Erin Blanchfield, you don't even have to ask about her ground game. It's about as good as it gets for her level. And yeah, I mean, she's going to be an extremely exciting prospect when she chooses to or get signed by a larger promotion. And another standout on this card was flyweight Bilal Hassan. He's a star. He's young. He's only 22, I believe. He hit a spinning wheel kick knockout after just brutalizing this poor guy in the first round. Knees, elbows, punches, ground and pound. I mean, he showcased everything in the first 5 minutes and then just finished the job, moonwalked, did a backflip. So, yeah, and then he killed it on the mic in one of the best post-fight interviews I've seen personally at the regional level. So he's somebody to watch for sure, Bilal Hassan. And the other big thing from Cage Fury FC was not a fighter. Well, it was a fighter, but not fighting. Renato Moicano was on commentary, and he was just hilarious. I mean, not just hilarious, but outstanding. He did such a good job. Him and John Morgan had such good chemistry. They were analyzing the fights, doing well. Renato Moicano was joking, doing his thing, talking shit. And it was really refreshing to see a fighter like be good at commentary, because we had to listen to Dominic Cruz all weekend, and it's not really that enjoyable. So shouts to Renato Moicano. I hope he continues commentating. Hopefully more promotions other than CFFC. But yeah, outstanding job there. One other notable event with a notable result, Combat FC6 went down on Friday as well. The big fight there was a former UFC fighter, Don Shanis, fought Damian Nelson, and in a really tough fight, Damian Nelson knocked him out in the third round, and that puts Shanis on a 2-fight skid now after winning regionally but losing 2 prior to that in the UFC. So he's looking at some tough waters, but Damian Nelson, another guy to watch, representing Jamaica, I believe, fighting out of New York, and just good. I mean, durable, really good cardio, good straight punching. He's exciting for sure. Moving on to Saturday. Now, well, actually, no, back to Friday. Got one more thing to talk about, which was perhaps the most insane combat sports event I've ever seen. Over in Spain, there was an event called Dogfight Wild Tournament 2. I popped up on my YouTube. It had 400,000 viewers live at the time. And I'm like, what is going on here? This is way too big for me not to know about this. And I click on it, and I click on it in the middle of a 25-minute no holds barred MMA fight in which anything is legal. And I'm like, what is happening? So I do a little research. Dogfight Wild Tournament is a once-a-year event held by Spanish YouTuber Jordi Wild, who is what they call the Spanish Joe Rogan. He's one of the largest, if not the largest, YouTuber in Spain and in the Spanish-speaking world. He has 12 million subscribers on YouTube, and I think 4.1 million on Instagram. So just massively famous. And he hosts a absolutely insane MMA event every year. And this one in Spain, this one included a 4-man blood sport tournament, which was held in a skate park shaped ramp in which you had to maintain the high ground to win. There was a brutal knee knockout there. You can go find it on YouTube. There was women's bare knuckle boxing. There was 2-on-2 MMA, which was hilarious. There was 5 versus 1 last man standing. So if you won, you stayed in, and then you had to fight the next guy, and whoever was the one that won obviously won the fight. So you had to win X amount of fights within that. And then probably the most impressive one was a 3-on-1 MMA match in which the one man came back and submitted all 3 opponents to win in the 3rd round, in probably the first time I've ever seen that successfully pulled off, where the one guy actually, somehow beat all 3 guys. Every time he submitted one, they got pulled out. So it was 3 guys down to 2, down to 1, and in the last moment, I mean, the crowd was going insane. There's probably 15,000 people there. And he just stared down this light heavyweight, staring down this flyweight, just like, come on, you're mine. And he just takes his back and chokes him out to win. And it was one of the more incredible combat feats I've ever seen in my life. So if you do anything this week, anything, go watch Dogfight Wild Tournament on YouTube, because it is hands down the most entertaining event I've probably ever watched relating to combat sports. Moving on to Saturday, we had Eternal MMA at about 3 a.m. at night because it takes place in Australia. This one was Eternal MMA 82 in Perth, Australia. The one notable result that I really felt like mentioning was Quillen Saukild. Excuse me if I butchered that name. He won by rear naked choke against Dom Mar Fan to defend his title. He is a really, really exciting fighter out of there. Great mustache. I love mustache. And he's been calling for the Contender Series as well. So he's probably going to get the call soon. Another good Australian prospect to look for. Hexagon MMA 14 went down in Dijon, France. I was not able to watch, so it happened. That's all I have to say. French MMA doing pretty good things. The big one of the weekend, which this is getting to be borderline not regional, but not enough people are talking about it, so I will continue to cover it. Oktagon 53 took place in Oberhausen, Germany. And Oktagon's just, they're doing everything right at the moment. They are holding shows in arenas. They have exciting young fighters. They have old veterans that are, have some value. Their product is just exceptional. And I think they're a promotion to really, really look for in 2024, because I think they're going to really start popping up on the radar of more serious or casual MMA fans as a serious promotion. So anyways, this event was the strawweight title, Katarina Delizde versus, Eva Dorthy, who Katarina Delizde, she's been in Oktagon for a while now. I believe she's now on a 6-fight winning streak, all with Oktagon, and she is a really, really interesting prospect to look at. She can kind of do it all. She is 32, so on the slightly older end, but women's divisions doesn't matter quite as much at the age. So she's very talented, very strong, just a really well-rounded, durable fighter, and definitely one of the female stars for Oktagon. The big event, or the big fight I was looking forward to, was Islam Dulatov, one of the a German-Russian prospect, taking on John Paliaglos. Greek name. I really struggled with that one. Islam Dulatov is a 6'6" welterweight. He is now 10-1 as a pro. He's just his nickname is the Ripper because he rips to the body. He's got scything low kicks, massive power, obviously huge frame. He just walks down his opponents and TKOs them. This one he got it done with the knee to the body and then ground and pound, just nasty stuff. He's one of the fighters that is young and really, really talented. I think Oktagon might actually be building into real stars for them. Him and Matej Panaz, who's a fellow or a middleweight, similar style, similar build, both really, really exciting fighters to keep an eye out for. The another notable finish from the card was David Zawada, former UFC and PFL fighter, fighting back in his home country of Germany. He was losing the fight. He was down 2 rounds to none. He was borderline having a 10-8 in the third round. He was on top, beating the guy up. Guy gets up, and with 15 seconds left, Zawada rolls back into a leg lock and gets the finish. And you got to watch this one just simply for the crowd reaction. It was incredible. Just German veteran getting an insane, improbable finish late in the fight. It was really, really special stuff to watch. And this one's a little less notable for any significant future MMA reasons, but it's interesting because this is why I love watching regional MMA. Ivica Truchek won by guillotine choke, and he moved his professional record to 43 wins with 39 losses. And anytime you see a record like that, you take a second, you're like, wow, that is a really, really impressive record. I mean, that's over 80 professional fights in his life. And I was going through his Tapology, and he has fought Benoit Saint-Denis, Roberto Soldic, Abu Smagomedov, Islam Makhachev, in which he lost by triangle choke with 15 seconds left in the third round, which obviously is, very impressive. He lasted that long with the current best fighter in the world. And Nicholas Dalby twice. So this guy has just a litany of experience against high-level opponents, and he's still getting it done at 36 years old, 43-39 record. Really impressive. But yeah, that about wraps it up for this weekend of regional MMA. Once again, one of the better weekends we've had this year. Really, really good stuff from a lot of promotions, and I'm excited to see what comes next for a lot of these organizations. This next week, obviously, we have UFC 298, which is not regional, but that's where most of the attention is going. Anytime you have a big UFC card like this, a lot of regional shows just simply do not schedule on that weekend because they know nobody's really going to be as interested. But what is up this week is KSW 91 happening in the Czech Republic. So KSW, always great. I always recommend checking out their shows. $10 gets you the entire card, flat rate. Every single card is the same price. And I think more MMA promotions would do that. I mean, the $25, $35 pay-per-views for regional cards just isn't it. And KSW has it figured out. But yeah, this was this week's regional roundup. You can follow me on Instagram at DSK Combat Sports, on Twitter at DSK_MMA. Hit me with anything you have, want me to talk about next week. Any good regional fights, promotions, I'm always here for it. And looking forward to watching more fights this week. Peace.